session 2 of Unit 2. This session is about the importance of teacher questions in the classroom. Why should you pose questions in the classroom? This session is going to deal with that. So let's proceed to look at our objectives. By the end of this session, you will be able to explain the importance of teacher questions in the classroom. Let's get started. So, importance of teacher questions in the classroom, and the following are some of them. One is to find out what students know about a subject or a topic. In other words, we can use questions to review the relevant previous knowledge of students. Sometimes we can use questions to know whether students or whether the knowledge that students have about a particular topic or subject is valid or invalid, whether there are misconceptions or not. Questions can help us to know these things. We also use questions to review works that we have done already, probably lessons that we have presented to students already. We may use questions to find out whether students still have knowledge about concepts we have presented to them previously. And also, we pose problem which leads to the subject of the new lesson. And by this, it is because learning becomes meaningful if what is to be learned is stated as a major question or a problem to which solution is demanded. Let's proceed. We use questions to motivate students. Now, we can use thought-provoking questions. We can pose thought-provoking questions and use them to control and sustain interest in the lesson. Imagine how students become motivated when they are able to answer questions. The student who answers questions correctly feels very relevant and he becomes motivated throughout the lesson and for that matter the subject. So we can use questions to motivate them. And this also means that when we should be very careful about the questions that we pose to our students, because in as much as we can use questions to motivate them, questions can also demotivate them, especially if the questions are such that students are not able to answer. Then they lose their motivation. They become demotivated. So in as much as you may be having some complex questions to ask, do manage that you have some that are simple and easy to be answered by your students so that their motivation can be kept. Also, we used to develop a line of thought, and by this, series of related but graded questions could be used to develop a line of thought by leading the students step by step to factor knowledge. Next is that we used to discover if students understand. Probably if students understand what we are teaching. Sometimes if you are to progress based on the looks on students' face, you might be deceived because the looks on the face of some of your students may be very intimidating. You may think that they are getting everything that you are teaching correctly, but that is not the case. Maybe they only want you to think that they are part of the class so that your time will reach and then you leave. But in actual fact, they don't understand. It is only when you pose questions to them, then their responses would reveal whether they understand what you are teaching or they don't. We use questions to lead students to make observations and to draw inferences. Now you should remember that chemistry involves a lot of practical sessions where you, the teacher, you'll be leading the students. You use questions to guide the students as to what observations and data to collect. So the questions that you have already provided them would Notify them the observations that they are to do as well as the data to collect. So with the importance, we used to get students involved in the lesson. The funny thing is that sometimes students may go off the class in terms of their minds. So they may be looking at you, but deep in their mind, they are doing a lot of things. They are thinking about something that is way of what you are teaching. Now, a way to get them involved is to pose questions to them, and that brings them back to the classroom. We used to revise the main points of a lesson. So after you have taught everything, the highlights, the major ideas, we use questions to revise them. Now, these are some of the importance of questions in the classroom. There are others, but you should know this importance so that you know how to use questions in the classroom, especially the chemistry classroom. And we end this session with a question that is to explain any 5 importance of teacher questions in the classroom. Thank you very much. My name is Robert Chumesi Kuma.